The YC Onion Hotdog slider is a motorized slider that I've been using for a little bit over a year now, and I have to say, for the price, the functionality, you get a wireless app, you have a pan track down the middle so you don't need a camera operator. This thing is absolutely amazing for the money. And one of the features that I promised I would do in a future part 2 video, which we're going to do today, is talk about the slider's functionality with gimbals. Yeah, this slider can actually work and communicate through its app with gimbals, such as the DJI RS2, which you see behind me. It also works with the Crane 2S, the Webuilt S, and I believe it works with the Crane 3 as well. And those are really the 3 different gimbals, or really the 4 different gimbals that it fully communicates with. There's other gimbals, but we're not going to talk about them because they don't have the same kind of functionality. So in today's video, we're going to talk about why, when pairing the YC Onion Hotdog slider with a gimbal like the Ronin RS2, it is almost the best motion control rig you can get for the money. But I am going to hang on that word almost because it's missing one feature that prevents me from using it in actually a lot of different scenarios, but it does let me use it in certain scenarios. So we'll go over that and more after this. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Geoff Fagien. I'm a filmmaker and DP based in South Florida. So today we're going to talk about using the YC Onion motorized slider as a motion control system, using it with a gimbal such as the DJI RS2. Now today specifically we're going to talk about the RS2 as that's the gimbal I have on hand. I'll talk a little bit about the Crane 2S as I did use it with this system before I broke my Crane 2S. Interestingly enough, it actually has the same functionality with the Crane 2S and the RS2 if you're just using them without using third-party accessories. So we're going to go over that and more today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments as we go through this video. And also do me a favor, if you're sitting here, you're watching the video and you like what you see, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell as it really does help out on the channel. To get started with the YC Onion and RS2, I actually had to buy one must-have accessory and then another accessory that you don't have to buy, but you'll have to buy something else if you don't want to spend the money on it. So the must-have accessory is the wireless Bluetooth module that actually sticks to one of the NATO rails on the DJI RS2. By buying that Bluetooth module, it lets the app connect to both the RS2 and the motorized slider together, and so you absolutely need that one piece in order to do the interlinking. The second piece is the battery module that goes on the bottom of the DJI RS2 and makes it so you can use Sony MPF batteries as your power source, but it also gives you a flat bottom that isn't as raised as if you were going to use the normal DJI battery grip and use the battery grip on this slider. Now, if you want to use the battery grip, you can, but you're going to have to get something that converts a 3/8 inch thread into a 1/4 inch thread. A lot of people are actually using quick release plates, which make a lot of sense. I didn't want to go that route because when you use the battery grip, it raises the actual gimbal itself a considerable amount, and I didn't want the gimbal height to be as high as it was there. So as you can see behind me, it is much lower to the slider itself when you're using the MPF battery system. So again, the battery system is not a must, but you can use it for more than just this YC Onion system. You can use it to go onto a tripod or whatever, and it will bring it lower to whatever you're mounting it to, and also let you use Sony MPF batteries. So there's just a little word for the wise there. Once you get everything set up on the DJI RS2, you'll also notice I have a follow focusing motor, and we're going to touch on that is actually the weak point of this whole system. So as you set everything up, you can actually control not only where you want the slider to be on the slider track, but you can also control the pan, tilt, and roll axis of the DJI RS2 or any gimbal you're using anywhere on the track. So you basically want to make sure that you have whatever the roll, tilt, and pan is going to be on the RS2 in the same position it's going to be on the slider track. And you keep putting waypoints, kind of like on the DJI apps, as you go through the slider to make sure that at each point you have on the track, you can actually have exactly where you want the pan, tilt, and roll to be on the gimbal itself. Now I'm using this with a Pocket 6K. This pretty much goes for any camera because one of the downfalls is that you can't control the camera itself, even though the RS2 can control the camera. So once you go through this whole system, it does work. You can do some really cool movements. I actually personally think it's better for time-lapse than video for this reason alone. This is what makes it not the most amazing setup, and it's a big deal for me. May not be a big deal for some, but it is the fact that even though the DJI RS2 has the ability to have the follow focus made by them and it can control the focus from the gimbal itself, the app from YC Onion does not control the follow focus, at least not yet. If you're using a follow focus, you're shooting narrative, documentary film, you want to make sure that your focus is obviously on point. And this system does not let you, in the waypoints, choose the actual focus point that you're going to be at every single point. And for me, that is a deal breaker, because that means that I cannot use this as a second shooter that's completely automated. I'm at the very least going to have a focus puller, first AC, pulling focus, and then that means I'm going to have to add a wireless video transmission system, add weight to the gimbal. It's just adding a bunch of things where on a typical second shooter system like the one from Kessler, it will pull focus for you as you set the focus points. So if YC Onion can add that functionality, I think for the money, just for the cost of the YC Onion plus the RS2, it makes this combo an amazing deal. But without the ability to actually pull focus while you're going through these movements, I think it kind of puts it a little bit behind. And in my uses, it almost makes the completely wireless functionality of the system useless, because I'm still going to have a focus puller. But without the whole gimbal system, the slider by itself is still a really great value. In the end, I think the slider alone is still a really great value, especially because it has that pan track. And I've said in the beginning of the video, I've used it on a bunch of shoots. Every time I used it, I pretty much actually used a camera operator. Reason being is if you're running this motor at full speed, it's not that loud when it goes from left to right and it just keeps going back and forth. If you do anything lower than full speed, I find that almost the lower you go, the louder the motor is. So if you're trying to do really slow pushes through the slider, I really need a camera operator to do those movements for me, just so I don't have that loud squeal coming from the motor itself and not getting picked up in any of the microphones. So that was the one downside to it. Again, this thing is really cheap for the money, and I do highly recommend it. So I've been promising part 2 of the video for a while, going over the gimbal functionality. That is part 2. If you have any questions that I didn't go over today, I know this was kind of a quick video, but not having the focus there really kind of it upset me a little bit, because that is a huge functionality that I think is missing, and hopefully YC Onion can add that functionality into the app. And if they do, I will do another video updating everybody, and I'll also put a link in the description below if that ever does happen. If you have any questions that I didn't go over today, please feel free to put them in the comments below. If you got knowledge out of today's video, please feel free to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Until next time, thank you for watching, everybody. My name is Geoff Fagien, and I will see you in the next video.